Hello and welcome, as it is the 9th day of February 2018. Everything within your own risk, own reward disclaimer in the more information box. We'll take a look at Bitcoin and Litecoin at least. And on the day of this bottom, when the price action was well over 7,000, 7,400, I can't remember the handle then, I was stating I think there's a good chance that the bottom is in. First time I said anything like that within this downtrend, either that or I think if it goes down to here, that's where the bottom is. Now, I've always said breaking levels, you got a key level here, and of course I stated a few of them, but anyway, interestingly enough, I still get comments, should I wait to buy at 6,000? You know what, it's up to you, the people, to decide what it is you want to do. It's a very difficult game, and having videos like this for many people can provide a lot of help, and it can take time to learn this stuff, but as you get going, especially as you play with an experience, it gets a lot easier. And even for situations, if you want to say get into learning how to trade and outperform the market, maybe you're just hodling, just playing just putting your Bitcoin and Litecoin in one of your hardware wallets. There's nothing wrong with putting a small amount of such into an exchange and then trying to outperform the market, different strategies. And if you get more comfortable doing so, you can then slowly add extra liquidity in when you have a good feel on the market, and then make your mistakes cost very little as you move forward. That's one positive way of getting in there, especially with a lot of places like Bittrex. 50,000 minimum Satoshi Bitcoin relatively isn't that much. It's a small minimum bet. All right, so enough about that. I did state there was a good chance the bottom was in. So for me, if I was one that wanted to buy Bitcoin in whichever form, whether it be from Tether that I had, and I never had, maybe I have 5-10 cents worth, so I don't have any. And if I wanted to take any type of fiat, turn it into Bitcoin, that most certainly would have been the morning that I did it. There was a day like that when it occurred. Back in, I think it was just down in here. It was down at this bottom. I went to a gas station and I bought Bitcoin. Well, I bought a code. I went on the internet. That code gave me Bitcoin. And considering what I paid for and how many Bitcoin I got, I was pretty happy. And of course, I've turned that into multiple times higher via trading as well. So then, that's the things when you're really confident, sometimes you just got to play with confidence in this game. That's what I do. I do realize there's a chance that it's not, and I say the bottom would be in a sense that maybe the market may come in with a higher low or a matching low, and then it works out this way because you're always looking for the market. If you're trying to trade it, you're usually trying to get it to just correct in a nice way through time. And that way you can get good entry points and so on and so forth. What I like about what it has done so far from this low is it has taken about 5 periods. It's on its 5th now, just to get to the 18 average of closes, because that's probably where in the area it would be at. And whenever I see big fast moves that have quick moves back up to the 18 average, that can be a very much of a concern sign. That's very similar to what we've seen in the stock market. They're showing that with their patterns lately. Basically a very big V or reverse V pattern and high volatility. So I like how it's happening over several days. Now, overall, the band's just going to start to flatten out. It's got to get above it. So many different ways for it to go bullish. But quite frankly, I have always found it easier myself as a trader to buy when price action goes lower and then wait for opportunities above price action to be a seller. That's my strategy. Of course, do what works for yourself. And if you want to try to find what works, that's like I say in the intro. You can put small stakes and just try it out, and then when you get comfortable and realize something's very profitable, you can then play at higher stakes. All right, that's like a motivational, just not any kind of, it's good kind of information, I think. I got to talk about this on a shorter term time frame because the exact same pattern is happening that I like in the taking a long time, or not a long time, but a decent amount of time to get in the 18. I think it's on the 4 hour or 1 hour. I think it's the 4. No, I think it's the 1 now. But within the 4 hour, which is very important, that was, 1, 2, 3, 4 periods. So it didn't do it in just one. And after this period, it didn't have that big of a red candle. But what's really the best part is this double green candle was good gains, not excessive, and about a dozen or so periods for it to correct. So if you're looking for the market to settle down, those are the key words I was looking for. That's what it has done, which is an amazing thing. But I also see if you're looking for entry points and you're noticing, okay, you make it to this resistance, you come back down, great. Then you come in here, you don't break this level, you come back down. Amazing, because now you have strengthened a level of resistance which has just broke. So you wait for this, you wait till you barely break it with nice little, well, I'm not going to say confirmation, but for strategy-wise, best probability. And you wait for like now, this is like the perfect amount in my view, because you're barely above the key resistance breakout. You love the fact that on this green candle, you followed it up with the small sideways one, and you're now just breaking it. It's a 4 hour time frame, 2 hours and 23 minutes left. So this candle's almost halfway through. So it's working itself really, really well. So if I'm just ever to say, when do I like to go long on a traditional sense and buy above the 18 average of highs, this would be it. Now, when I talk about selling above such, I would never sell there. For I would have either A, waited to sell, or recently already done so. Now in here I would have sold, wait for a buyback. Now that buyback could have came here. Now if I bought here, then maybe I would either sell at this previous level or wait for even a higher one. Either way, of course, one reason why you wait for the higher one is because technical analysis is telling you could probably get it pretty good odds. That's the reason why you would do that. And then you look to be a seller when you have a significant break above here and you're looking to at least a level of this previous high, but you can see most likely what looks to be a bigger area here. And I've already talked about Fibonacci days before this, and I talked about a number pretty much around that 10,000 level. So I'd be looking for a price target to go up another 1,000 basis points, basically $1,000 over the next 5, 6, 7 periods, which would work out to the next, well, 7 times 4 is 28. Over the next day or two, we could have a huge day based on this setting. All right, then. So that will be the Bitcoin analyses. We're going to move on to Litecoin. Quickly, first look at the cross against Bitcoin. Let's do that now. And within this Bitcoin cross, I have a Fibonacci number that I calculated early today at 0.0187, a level which was resistance practically perfect. And this is Fibonacci that like nobody uses. It's like natural. If you hear a lot of traders talking about Fibonacci, there's better than a 99% chance it is in linear form. Although a lot of times they can work as well, but I have found that these ones work far much more better, especially well, I'll talk more about the silver ones later on, but because it hasn't been moving much, I haven't had the need to. Anyway, when you have another move like this, you have that comeback. I love how it last reacted to this 18 average, and this indicator does so many different things for me. It's really a situation where you decide who's going to win the battle in another ways, because you come down to this point, you match these lows, but you go down to areas not seen with this gap fill point in here, and then you're like, okay, it's obviously been seen many times before. You go down to this level, you make a lower high, and then you will eventually make the lower low. And that would happen, okay, 3 green candles up, red down, but after that red down, you might have got the same sideways, but you wouldn't have had this green candle. And if you did, it sure as heck wouldn't have came with the follow through. So the battle within this was won by the bulls, you could state. And thus Bitcoin is not doing as well against Litecoin within this time frame. Let's take a look at this longer term. I think if you were an author writing technical analysis and you're trying to decide which photos to use to discern where good breakout patterns might be available, yeah, this one's looking pretty good. Now, that's just my opinion. We've had a situation from the December rally where it had this big move. We still have all of this gap fill area, which it has not went to. It doesn't have to hit that area. Oftentimes it just doesn't. It has its sideways action. That's what it's had. But it has now spent the several amount of its time hanging out at the north end of the party. Not even to the point where this is a gap fill area here now. And when you see the situations break out above this, you could have some decent sized green candles. We'll see how it works out. But it's always on alarm for events like that to happen, where you might get at lowest a green candle the size of this one in here. That's the type of moves I wouldn't be surprised to occur on a break of such major resistance level, especially when you take a look at this on a more longer term time frame like the weekly chart, which has had substantial big history within this point, and this huge nice double failed move that I've talked about. I look as in the first failed move has already existed. It's already had its play, because when I talk about failed move, fast move on a technical term, a lot of times you see it, the play is there, and it's all over. Okay, well, one of the failed moves played, it's like in hockey, 2 penalties. You have like 2 power play opportunities, however you want to look at it. And then the second one I would deem to be one that would have a huge break above resistance. It'll be interesting, of course, if it's aligned that way. I'm obviously invested in hoping and such, but because I guess you never know what the market's going to do, you always just put yourself in the best risk-reward probability you can. I think I have done that, so I'm hoping that the results come through as I would like to see. Let's move on to this against the US dollar. And I have Fibonacci points in here as well. I've talked about them recently too. Price action on the weekly chart has came back down to the 18 average of lows, which I've talked about. Well, this is like my favorite indicator pretty much. It's doing such within a rising period. That's always worth note. And it's always bullish, and I've seen it before where it can get out of this without really flattening too much. That's pretty much what it's doing. If it's unable to really get above 213 within the next week or two, then it's totally a flatlining average. But it's got a lot of work to reverse it. I don't think it's going to happen. Of course, the market will do what it does. And when we look at this on a single day time frame, I'm liking this daily settling in on the chart a lot better than Bitcoin. Within this first move down to about 100, which would be annoying in the sense that a lot of order fills didn't happen. I tried to get lower prices myself. Didn't get them, not that many. I also realized that a time to buy Litecoin with Bitcoin, because I wasn't doing it for the dollar. Don't got any tether, don't plan on using any fiat, but against Bitcoin, when I seen price action pretty much around 90, 94, I was like, okay, this is where I'm going to like to load the boat, as much like a big size bet on Bitcoin. So this is another way of saying no one can really ever call the bottoms within these situations, but if you're trying to fish for lower prices, or you're trying to fish for higher prices on the sales, sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose. And even if you lose, you can still end up winning, because I've been buying Litecoin lately. It's just not at the prices that they were before. But the first move down to this low came up to close to the 18 average of highs. It took a couple periods to do so. And then 2 red candles down, following into another day which matched the previous low. And then nice move with, after this green candle up, a sideways day within this major Fibonacci level. 2 green candles up to the 18 average of highs, and we are over an hour into the day. And of course, price action means that the 18 average of highs is flattened now. If the gains can start to keep on accelerating, the 18 average of bands, definitely the 18 average of highs and lows will both start to increase. If the price doesn't go down at this point, it's at an area of resistance. But I do not by any means look at this as a test of resistance. No. This is a test to break that level because the test happened here. It made a matching low. That's good enough. That's usually about as far as you want to go. Usually you want to go down towards here, any higher one, but no, that's fine. A little bit of scare tactics for some people. And then now because it's broken or got to that point, well, now that you're there, you may get very little to no resist or pullbacks. Maybe the cheapest you're going to get might be down to like 150. And that might be hopeful. I don't know. But I realize as it's coming in, making a play above the 18 average, spectacular moves, and they can happen at any time. For who was to know before this took place that you could have a big move? Well, technically, technical analysis would say, is it a good time to buy now? Well, at this stage, you'd be like, yeah, here's this resistance. You come up to it, back down to the 18. You barely break it, but more importantly, you are in a correctionary move. And I mean, you're not going to be able to say, obviously, this pattern shows it's just going to go haywire the next few days. It's just going to happen. Let's take a look at, say, before this day, was there any way of knowing that it was good to go on here? Well, the market was in a very good situation. There's a spot where this level of resistance was used as support. Holding well within here, spending many days above the 18 average of highs. Those are all bullish signs that you're looking for, knowing that you've already established at this time what was like big resistance at 50 and 54. Like I state, when you break big levels, don't be surprised if it's followed through with big green candles higher. This was a decent sized break here, but I want to go back to the March lows. Is there any way of knowing here? Like, how could you? If this is about as choppily neutral as you could get, and even more so, it's real. Yeah, that's all I would say. The only thing I would state is you can start to see within this pattern, although the 18 average was falling lower, that was starting to curve higher, staying a little bit within the band for a few days. So if you make a case to say the whole proverbial gun type thing, you have to make a decision to either go long or short, I probably would have said long because of how the short-term movements were looking, this level of resistance being support back at this time frame. And the one thing that pleases me is back at this time frame when Litecoin was like $4, if I just would have put my whole stash of cryptos into Litecoin and just hodled it till now, I would have less Litecoin than I have now. So that's how well I've outperformed the market. So I'm proud about things like that. And that's what the whole plan about the trading really is. So I'm going to finish off the historical moves of trying to determine when these plays go higher, because oftentimes you will notice they come when there's a bullish setup. All right then. So I'm going to finish this off with silver because it's my favorite coin, but it's a real coin. However, I will say, as far as things like Bitcoin and Litecoin, that they are very tangible. Because when I can get my hardware wallet with my hands, plug it into a USB, and do all the things that I do, that is tangible. So is physical silver. I like 999. I did start off buying scrap silver back in the day when I actually went to coin stores. I don't need to go to coin stores anymore. But when I did, I'd buy silver dollars, silver quarters, all that type of stuff. Even a bunch of different cool sterling stuff. And I do think they're good to have. However, I think 999 is better it's obviously pure. And in a situation, if it ever gets to the melting game, and I mean the melting game is in there's a run for silver to be melted, then what you're ideally going to want to hold are the cheap generic 999 silver coins, rounds, bars. Those will be the best. If I were to make a prediction, a wild one, and I will, this is the prediction as we move into the next few decades. The next stage, most likely to occur into the 20s, is when there will be a major demand for the silver to be melted, and many silver bars, rounds, and all that stuff will be done so. Of course, the scrap silver, silver dollars, which is good for that as well, as long as you're not paying much of a premium. All the 999, like Sunshine Mint, and all the Buffaloes, and all the generic stuff, really. They're going to get melted down. So will Maple, so will Eagle, so will a bunch of other good coins too. Because I think in a time like that, you're going to see the premiums go down on the good stuff. But I'm also going to extend my prediction into the 30s and 40s, maybe 50s, that the coins made pre-melting period of are collector items in that time, meaning that, say, a very beautiful 1 kilo ounce coin in 2017 or 2015 or 2020 might be worth 2 to 3, 4, 5, 20 times more than a 1 kilo coin minted in 2041. That's the type of way that I'm thinking. So for me as a investor, trader, I buy both. And if a time comes where I need to liquidate it, I'm not buying 100 ounce bars. I can afford it, but I really can't. My stack size says I can't afford it. I want to talk about 100 ounce bars. I'm buying 1 kilo bars. People ask, oh, is it good to buy 100 ounce bars? Well, how many ounces of silver do you have or do you want to buy? Oh, you want to buy like thousands and thousands of ounces? Yeah, of course. Oh, you want to buy 250 ounces? No. It really goes by how much you have. So will there ever come a time where I'd want to buy even larger, 100 ounces or larger? Hopefully. Hopefully. So the daily chart for silver has had a up move, down move. But you know what? For the last several amount of years, it seems, definitely many months, like 15, 16 or something like that, I've been talking about these choppy up and down moves. It just keeps going well above the 18 average and then well below. It's been doing this for quite some time. Yeah, I was doing it more so back in this point in here. And that's all the market's been doing. The type of strategy I talk about for buying below and selling above has been phenomenal within this market condition. For situations like this, you are a buyer in here, and then you're selling it up here. What you sold up here, we're buying back now. Plain and simple. You start to buy back on maybe this red candle down day. And you're going to buy here. Maybe you bought a little bit here, or you're waiting to buy maybe at 16. But because you bought now, if you see the price goes up to like 17.30, maybe you're going to sell some. And that just has kept on working over and over to like selling here and then buying here. And of course, buying here, selling here works great as well. Of course, I'd be crazy to do so with this market on so many different reasons. I don't want my base currency to be US dollars. I want it to be Litecoin actually, but I mean, I have to make Litecoin my base currency as a means to an end, or trade it against only like 5, 6 different currencies. That's not many, which would be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doji, voxels really. I mean, that's, yeah, it's easy. There's a market for that. But there's not many markets for Litecoin, so it sucks. However, I'd want to trade Litecoin or Bitcoin. That's what I do. And it just happens to work with this strategy, with this market. But you know what? That strategy long term works with practically all codes, as long as it doesn't go straight down. With the longer term time frame, this to me, if you were to try to do a snapshot in a technical analysis book of what a choppy market would look like, take your picture, because that's what it is. And I hope these prices stay within this sideways correction, I would love to say it in a standard range of maybe 21 down to about 15 for the next 20 to 40 months. But the market's going to do what it's going to do, and I'm still going to be happy if it comes up and breaks these points. Fibonacci level right around here. I've done it before. I think it's like my memory. I haven't tried to track these numbers for years. It's around $19 and change is a fib number. Then it's again at around low 30s. 31. I think it's 3108. 3120 area is a key fib area. And then $48 and change is a key fib number as well. So therefore, if it does get above here, its next level of resistance is probably going to come in over 30. Probably barely above. And if it does that, markets maybe just stabilize there, maybe come back down. Well, if it went to 30, came back down to 20, that would work out perfect if Litecoin and or Bitcoin had huge gains around that time. But it wouldn't matter, because if price action, say, goes into 28, which is even 32, we'll just make it double for that matter. I'm fully expecting Litecoin to have prices where it's like 3/4. Well, I talked about a price target of $3,000 on the upside, which I would expect to pierce above at least by a couple grand, so even 5,000 Litecoin. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but 5,000 Litecoin and $32 silver, well, that means I'm getting half as much if it was 16, but I'm getting a lot of silver either way. And if I look at the prices of silver against what would be Litecoin then, well, just recently I bought 50 ounces of silver for about 5.5 Litecoin. I'm expecting 5.5 Litecoin to get me a lot more later on. Now I am expecting this down move to be a guilty until proven innocent, which I normally would never say when a chart looks like this in just a blind situation. And that is because of the DXY. I already stated at the end of the year what's going to happen this year, and I'm in still full confidence mode within it. Okay, just maybe the DXY will come up to this 18 average. But, I don't think it will. Not yet. I think we might have a little bit of further decline. It wouldn't surprise me if we have 2 to 3 periods to come back down maybe to this 84 level. And that, I think, would make at least silver get to the upper end of its range. And of course, gold prices to go higher as well. But I think it could do so without coming up too much. Thus, maybe coming up to 91 or just a little south of the current 18 average of lows 93 handle. I'd be surprised actually if it breaks 92. And maybe then after that, you might see a move from like 80s, mid-80s or low to mid-80s somewhere, then come up to say 87 or 88, and then reach the 18 average at that point, which would obviously be steadily declining. I think that's how it's going to go. But of course, what do I hope for? Well, if I'm looking to accumulate silver for the long-term time frame, yeah, I wouldn't be upset with a decent sized move that comes up to 95 in like say a couple months. Maybe Litecoin has decent gains, and maybe silver will test a $13 level. If that's the case, I get more silver. Either way, it's only going to be a bit more anyway, because the market for other things is mainly going to be derived through the currency market of cryptos. So if you're looking to see what you want to buy in this world via that of cryptocurrencies, its prices are really going to go up and down with the markets. So if there's something you want to buy in a little while and you see what the price is, just maybe, if you wait a little while, you might get a little discount, maybe even over 90% off if you're lucky. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.